Welcome to Lancaster County Super Fair. The meat goat show is starting 1/2 hour late. You are seeing the beginning, or going to see the beginning of the show house. This will also affect the timing of the sheep show. So it'll be about a 1/2 hour later. There are exhibitors with their meat goats on the other side. They're wearing the bright yellow 150 Super Fair shirts. The Lancaster County Super Fair's 150th anniversary was last year, but we are celebrating it this year.
All right, welcome to the 2021 Lancaster County Super Fair Meat Goat Show. We will be starting here momentarily with our senior meat goat showmanship. We are joined today with our judge, Ty Rankin from Bertrand, Nebraska. He is graduated from Fort Scott University and was on the judging team, and now is wrapping up his undergrad at UNL and also participates with the judging team there. First call, intermediate, meat goat showmanship. First call, intermediate, meat goat showmanship.
Congratulations to our poultry exhibitors, winners of the large fowl champion. Sarah Lange with an Osterlo. Reserve champion, Noah Jelinek with a Langshan. Champion Bantam, Noah Jelinek with a Langshan. Noah Jelinek with a Langa. Champion waterfowl, Zach Pittman, Marquise. Reserve champion, Mary McRellick, Duck, and champion Giddy, finish.
So if you're all listening, let's give these kids a hand. We kind of got ousted for the goat show, so that doesn't make the judge very happy, so we might have to talk to somebody about that. So once again, some really nice birds in this group today. They should all be commended for their conditioning and working to raise the best birds they can. Reserve champion today is going to be the black Australorp, and champion will be the medium goose, right? Is that what it was? The Roman tufted. Okay, the light goose, I guess it is. That's right. So congratulations to you all. Good job.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good to get out here and sort your goat and sheep show today, and we're going to start off with senior showmanship. I think a ring full of nice young individuals that are exhibiting their goats to a really high degree and high level. Different styles out here. Some of these exhibitors have older, mature brood does, and some of these have show wethers. So there's a little bit of variation in terms of type, kind, and style of showmanship, but different ways of showing these goats, and it doesn't really play into a factor of how I evaluate showmanship, because in my mind, I believe that, I'm looking for the person, the individual that can most effectively set their animal up in a timely, efficient manner, always have those feet and legs in the right place, giving me a high quality look at that animal. No matter where I'm at in the ring, they know where I'm at, they know where their animal is supposed to be. And I think there's a few individuals out here that do just a really, really top-notch job of doing that. And I'm going to work through these fairly efficient today, but still give these kids their time and their credit that's due. But if you will, go ahead and put your hands together for our senior showman out here. I'll get you champion in reserve.
Second call, intermediate meat goat showmanship. Second call, intermediate meat goat showmanship. First call, junior meat goat showmanship. First call, junior meat goat showmanship. Champion senior goat showmanship was Elena Cutlers, and reserve was Heather Lange. Elena has the opportunity to compete in our elite showmanship on Sunday at 5 o'clock. This is consisting of our meat goats, sheep, beef, and swine top exhibitors in the senior category. Elena has until Elena, we ask that you show up to the livestock office to confirm that you want to compete on Saturday or Sunday, at Elite Showmanship. Second call, Junior Meat Goat Showmanship. Second call, Junior Meat Goat Showmanship.
I think 4 really nice intermediate showmen out here. Again, a little variation in terms of size and type of goats and entities. Just a little bit to sort through in that degree. But I do think there's one individual out here that just in terms of intensity, just in terms of efficiency, a particular goat may not want to stand perfect for them at all time, but just in terms of sticking with it and just having that look of intensity on their face and knowing exactly where they need to be at all times and getting that particular animal set up, I just think they do a really spot-on job. From there, I think for reserve, it's a little give and take. It depends on what you like or what you set your priorities on. But I do think there's another individual that does a nice, solid job in terms of setting feet and legs, in terms of giving me a quality look. But if you will, really a nice set of 4 intermediate showmen out here. If you will, put your hands together, and I'll get you champion in reserve.
Congratulations to Clara Johnson, our champion intermediate goat showman, and Chloe Cutler's our reserve. Next in the ring is our junior meat goat showmanship. Later on the show, you may notice that we have some red plastic banners to give out for our various market and breeding classes. We are looking at having some showmanship red stall signs. If you're interested in sponsoring one of those for $25, we have a form up here for you to fill out. So if you would like to sponsor a red stall sign, please come on up and let us know. First call, commercial breeding doe kid class. First call, commercial breeding doe kids. Second call, commercial breeding doe kids. Second call, commercial breeding doe kids.
I think a really nice set of junior showmen. I'll be first to admit there's a couple out here I think hit the ring with a lot of presence, a lot of intensity, come in here with one thing in mind, and that's to get their job done, and they do a really exceptional job. Nothing to take away from the others in here. I think all of these individuals are doing an excellent job with their project, getting these goats out here presented well and exhibited well. One young lady here looks like she just got off a horse and ran the goat ring, and I commend her for her dedication to her project. But if you will, put your hands together for these junior exhibitors. I think 5 really nice young individuals. I'll go ahead and select your champion in reserve.
Congratulations to Josie Johnson, our champion junior meat goat showman, and Lauren, the reserve champion. Next in the ring is our commercial breeding doe kid class. If you're looking for a great way to support Lancaster County 4-H, our winner chicken dinner is tomorrow night at 5:30 to 7:30 in the exhibit hall near Pavilion 3. We will have slim chickens available, and we will also have to-go containers for those of you that are busy showing or enjoying the fair elsewhere. Advance tickets are for sale for $8. At the door, they will be at $9. Again, that's tomorrow at 5:30 to 7:30 in the exhibit hall. First call, commercial breeding doe yearling class. First call, commercial breeding doe yearling class. You may notice our exhibitors are styling some brand new t-shirts this year, a little bit different design to celebrate our 150th year of the Lancaster County Super Fair. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Midwest Bank and Tractor Supply Company, for sponsoring these t-shirts. Exhibitors, if you could sign the thank you cards outside the livestock office before you leave the fair, that would be fantastic.
As we get into our breeding doe division, I think a nice pair of does here that have a lot of give and takes and trade-offs, and depending on which one's more your speed, you might switch this pair. At the end of the day, I like the doe that's just more fundamentally correct in the way you study your basic build. Young lady still here in front. The Cape doe's going to go ahead and lead off. I just like that one when you get her out in circle or in motion. One's just so much more ideal in terms of her hip and hind leg posture. A doe that when you get your hands on her is genuinely round, has a lot of turn and youthfulness to her center body and forerib. Doe that really has a lot of dimension and square shape up high and can still prop up and give you a quality look with added extension and elevation. Just a doe that strikes me as a bit more youthful and more mobile when you get her out on the go. Young lady, still it's going to go ahead and be second. Nothing to take away from her because that one's the burlier, the stouter feature, the stouter skull option of the pair. I think when you study the center portion, she's as bold body and brooded as any. For me, it's just when you study her and break her down from the side. A doe that gets a little bit more open about her blade and shoulder shape. A doe that's just maybe shorter and rounder out of her hip and doesn't operate quite as athletic off of her rear too as the one ahead of her. She wants to kind of pull or push her hawk out and just go with some added set and coordination there off her rear too, but really a nice pair of does with a lot of trade-offs to go ahead and be 1-2 in this particular class. Young man brings a really nice stylish doe in third here. Then when you get that one propped up from the side, that's that one's best view. One that's really angular and high tying, really feminine in terms of her front 1/3. A doe that you can really appreciate, just not quite nearly enough of her when you study her compared to the two ahead of her. A doe that wants to plane up from behind, kind of narrow up to her base. I like to just give that one a shot more power throughout to run with the two ahead of her. But a doe that in terms of her build and her kind, one you can really tie into and like. Young lady is frosted ear tip doe, or frosted ear doe that's going to come next. I think one that you can really appreciate that one for being genuinely round and having some turn to her center portion of her body. A doe that I don't question in terms of her center portion dimension. For me, it's just a doe that's just a bit more ordinary in the way she's put together. She's a little bit longer and rounder out of her hip. A doe I like to make her stouter in terms of her feature, pick her up in terms of her pastern. One that needs to be a little bit leveler from the side to move up any higher. Young lady's brown doe is going to be next. Really a tall-shouldered, extended doe that's got a lot of performance and growth to her. Just needs more genuine substance and base width to go along with it. Doe that needs to be a lot more bolder and more expansive to her center portion. young man's doe that's going to be next. Cape doe, a tall-shouldered, extended doe that from the side has things I like about her from breeding pieces standpoint. One you can breed on for added extension and height of shoulder. For me, that doe just gets too concave and flat in terms of her foreribs. Deeper chested doe needs to be elevated there. Needs to be reconfigured in terms of her hip and hind leg. And young lady's doe that's going to round out the class. A doe that's plenty youthful. She's feminine in her own right. Just one that just gives up too much substance. Doe that's just all too narrow and closed up underneath. Doe that just needs a lot more body and mass to make it play any higher. So really a nice class of does to get our breeding doe started off with. Put your hands together for these exhibitors.
We will see Isabella and Olivia back for the Champion Reserve Breeding Doe Drive. Next to the ring is our Commercial Breeding Doe Yearling class. We'll go ahead and do a first call for our Commercial Breeding Aged Doe class as well. First call, Commercial Breeding Aged Does.
Got into our yearling doe division. I think the young man's roan Cape doe that goes ahead and leads off is honestly the logical place to start in this class. Not only is that one the widest chested, the boldest, most expansive in terms of her center portion, that doe's the thickest ended when you study her from behind, and stoutest in terms of her pin set. But what I really like about it is that doe sports a really athletic build and hind leg, and get her out and circle her. Everything stays together and just makes sense when that doe gets into motion. A really nice high caliber brood doe in the making for the young man. Young lady's doe, it's going to be second. A doe that's higher performing. She's growthier. She's stretchier in terms of her frame. Longer hips, longer body kind of a doe. Just a doe that just maybe doesn't come with the added punch of substance or power when you get over the top side of her. A doe that's just maybe not as square and level out of her hip. But a doe that you really appreciate. Her added length, extension, and femininity are really a nice long body doe to go ahead and be second. The young lady's painted though, it's going to round out the class and be third. I still think there's some pieces that you can appreciate about that one. Really youthful and feminine, extended, short-bladed doe, ties her neck high at the point side of her shoulder. A doe that simply has plenty of length and extension throughout. Here's a doe when you compare her to the two ahead of her, just the one that just hits me as a bit more juvenile and frailer in terms of her feature. A doe that just gives up 2 more power and mass to play with the other two, but really a nice trio of yearling does. Go and put your hands together for these exhibitors.
We'll see the top 2 again in our champion reserve drive for breeding does. Next to the ring is our commercial breeding age doe class. If we have any golfers in the audience, the 4-H golf tournament at Woodland Hills Golf Course is at 1 p.m. on October 3rd. This is a 4-person scramble at $75 per golfer or $300 per team. You'll play 18 holes, a cart and range balls are included. There will be snacks and 1 meal, and there will also be prizes available. For more information, please call the 4-H Lancaster County office.
I'm not talking to you. All about Sunday. Sunday. There's no reason to talk to you. There's no reason to talk to you.
It's a single entry in our age doe class. The young lady brings out a nice high quality brood doe. A doe that seems that she's already proven herself in production. A doe that keeps herself together and she's still fresh and honest in her condition. I really like about her is she's big bodied, she's bold and centered. A doe that reads pretty stout in terms of her feature. One that's still plenty angular and bounces from the side. Just a lot to like in a good high quality brood doe that's just still fresh and holds everything together for her age. Go ahead and put your hands together for a nice single entry.
Congrats to Lillian Bogle. Next to the ring will be our champion reserve breeding doe drive. We'll bring back the champion reserve from each class. Roger's also giving me some grief to mention that livestock judging is on Sunday. $12 on Sunday is the judging contest. If you would like to find 4 friends and adults to make a team, please sign up in the livestock judging office. There are prizes available and lots of good stuff to look at, so take a chance and sign up.
Well, maybe not a ton of numbers we saw from top to bottom in terms of our doe show. I still think top end quality and our respective class winners and seconds out here still represent quality from our doe kids, yearlings, into our mature doe. I think 5 individuals out here that I certainly think there's going to be a bright future down the line for their respective program and operation. But if you will, I just think that there's a pair of them that just kind of suit me better in terms of their build, in terms of their skeletal quality. Those that still hit me with that added mass and feature. But if you will, go ahead and put your hands together for these breeding doe exhibitors. I'll go ahead and select champion and reserve commercial doe.
Congratulations to Isabella Hytrek, our champion breeding doe, and Olivia Jelinek, our reserve champion. Next to the ring will be our registered classes. So our registered breeding doe kid class is next. Let's do a first call, registered breeding doe yearlings. First call, registered breeding doe yearlings. Second call, registered breeding doe yearlings. Second call, registered breeding doe yearlings.
Yeah, we're preparing for Sunday.
Into our purebred or registered doe division. I think young ladies traditionally marked doe goes ahead and kind of runs away with this respective class. You know, not only is that one the most opened up, the widest chest and the boldest body, but I think when you study that one on the standstill on the profile, one that just everything just fits together and makes sense. Level made doe is strong and bold behind her shoulder. She's level out of her hip. I mean, if there's one thing I want to tweak about her, I'd like to maybe just pull her in just ever so slightly at the point of her shoulder, maybe make her a little bit more refined in terms of her head and neck and her feature, excuse me. But I think a doe for what she is, you got to appreciate that one's just with full body shape, a doe that just everything fits together when just gives you a high quality look on the profile. Really nice doe to go ahead and lead off. young lady's brown cape doe, it's going to go ahead and be second. One that I actually think is really, really neat when you study it from the side. Right there you can see her kind of prop up and give you a quality look. Really a short-bladed, long-neck doe that's really unique and elegant in terms of her front 1/3. For me, though, it's just when you compare her to the one ahead of her, one that's maybe not as square out of her hip, the doe just doesn't come with the added expansion and power as the doe ahead of her. But what doe that's really elegant, good built, good looking doe to go ahead and be second. I think the same story can be told of the doe that comes in third. The spotted neck, spotted back doe has a lot of similar qualities to the one ahead of her. Really a long body, long neck, feminine featured kind of a doe. For me, though, one that just maybe doesn't prop up with the same kind of style from the profile. A doe that just maybe gets a little bit weaker there behind her shoulder, one that's not nearly as good and flexible in terms of her rear leg and the way she uses it, as coordinated in the way she uses her hind leg on the doe. But a doe that you can really appreciate her added femininity and look and extension. Really a nice doe to go ahead and be third in this respective class. Young lady's painted doe that's going to round out the class. The one that certainly has her qualities about her. One that's really feminine. She's extended. She's long and tall at the point of her shoulder. Long body kind of a doe that has a lot of feature. And I don't question this one for having enough genuine width and substance to her. It's just when you study her relative from the side relative to the ones ahead of her, the doe is just a bit more ordinary in the way she's put together. She's not nearly as level and strong out of the backside of her shoulder. Doe wants to get a little bit rounder out of her hip as well. A doe that maybe could be stound up in terms of her feature as well. But really a nice class of registered does to get this show started with. Go ahead and put your hands together for these exhibitors.
We will see Heather and Elena back for our Champion Reserve Registered Breeding Doe Drive. Next to the ring is our Registered Breeding Doe Yearlings. Entering the ring are our Registered Breeding Doe Yearlings. Let's do a first call for Registered Breeding Doe Aged. First call, Registered Breeding Doe Aged. Second call, Registered Breeding Doe Aged. Second call, Registered Breeding Doe Aged.
think a nice set of yearling registered does out here, and I guess the one that just kind of almost combines the rest of the field in terms of having the right kind of width, dimension, still being fresh, ultra feminine, good looking from the sides. This young lady's traditional headed doe. I think, a doe that's just not one to cooperate out here, but I think you study into that one. A lot of good things to like. That's the good look and the tall fronted, stylish doe that props up with a high quality look. And not only that, but she's got the right kind of width and mass and turn to her center portion. Doe's plenty broody and stout throughout in terms of her features. This is a really nice, good looking quality doe to go ahead and lead off with. And ladies, brown spotted doe, that's going to go ahead and be next. I think one that, just in terms of her basic kind of being bold-bodied, massive, stout and opened up, a doe that still is level-made and everything fits together from the side and balances, you got to appreciate about that one. One thing for me, that's a doe that in my mind's pushing the limits in terms of having a bit extra in terms of condition on her. I'd like to maybe reel her back and freshen her up. I think that'll really accentuate and help her look and quality from the side. Because I think a doe that's just pushing some extra cover, and that's taken away and making her appear a bit plainer in terms of her look from the side. Maybe one that's just not nearly as athletic in the way she uses her hip and hind leg. A doe that needs to be cleaned up in terms of her chest, make her more extended up front to play with the one ahead of her. But really a bold-bodied, level-made brood doe that balances still. Young ladies, Cape doe that's going to go ahead and come next. I think another one in the same sense, bull-bodied, opened up, big center doe. You don't question this one's feature or mass. One that in the same sense, in terms of condition, she's pushing the envelope for me. Like to reel her back, freshen her up, make her a bit higher quality, because I think this one today just hits me as a nickel planer from the look from the outside. Deeper chested doe, it's just a little bit off there behind her blade. A doe that gets a little bit shorter and rounder out of her hip as well. Like to maybe fix her in terms of her rear feet, but really a doe that's bold bodied and still has plenty of genuine brood doe characteristics within her, one you certainly appreciate. A young man, solid brown doe that's going to round out the class. A doe that's kind of opposite of from the field. A doe that's really tall and extended and feminine. For me, though, one that just closes up underneath. A doe that reads frailer in terms of her feature, and a doe that when you study her going away, is all too flat and narrow to run with her the rest of her field. But really a nice set of does. Go ahead and put your hands together for these exhibitors.
We will see Heather and Elena back for our registered drive. Entering the ring next is our registered breeding doe age class. Following this class, we will have our champion reserve registered breeding does. So Heather and Elena, we will need both of those from our doe kid and doe yearling classes.
No, I'm okay. I got rice in here again. Okay.
again to our age-registered doe class here. And I think a pair of does have a lot of utility and gold body and stoutness in terms of these pair of females. Does that are really round and opened up in terms of their chest floors. For me, though, I just like the doe in front here. Just in terms of her added extension, a doe that I just think brings forth a higher quality look from the side. I think one that you just appreciate whenever that one doe gets propped up from the side, taller fronted, more leveler, kind of a doe that just everything just really makes sense and fits on the profile of that one. And not to take away from the young lady, so it's going to be second. So I think that one, you study her behind her shoulder, might genuinely be the rounder body doe in terms of her forerib, a doe that certainly rivals our winner in terms of her mass and stoutness from behind, in terms of when you study her pin set. For me, though, doe just a little bit shorter and rounder out of her hip, a doe that's just maybe not quite as neat and extended from the side, but really a nice, high-quality pair of does in their own right. I want to put your hands together for these two exhibitors.
These goats will be joined with the champion reserve from the doe kid and doe yearling classes for our registered overall drive. Following that, we will have our overall breeding champion. So we will bring back our champion reserve commercial and registered does to be awarded that title.
I think 6 really nice registered does out here, anywhere from our doe kid to our yearling to our mature does. I think those that have the right kind of genuine base width and substance. They're opened up, wide-chested, round-bodied, right kind of mass. Those that still come with the added look and extension and feature, those that can get out and move and navigate with the right kind of skeletal correctness in terms of their hip and their hind leg, in terms of their front skeleton, those that balance up and still prop up and give you a quality look from the side. That being said, though, I think there's one that just maybe grabs my attention a little quicker than the others, one that just, I think, combines all those things we're looking for in terms of having the right kind of mass and brood doe character, and top of that still being fresh and stylish and good looking from the side. But if you will, put your hands together for these registered doe exhibitors. I'll go ahead and select your champion in reserve.
Congratulations to Heather Lange, our champion and reserve champion, registered breeding does. Next in the ring, we'll have our overall breeding champion reserve drive. So Heather will be joined by our commercial champion and reserve. And we'll go ahead and start doing our first call for our market show. So first call, lightweight class 1. First call, lightweight class 1.
We bring out our 2 division champions and reserves for overall breeding doe selection. I have 4 high-quality does out here that represent their divisions very well. There's certainly a different variety and types and kinds could have went with along the way, but 4 does that suit me very well in terms of just doing the basics right and having some extras. I'm not going to talk about these too long because in my mind, I think there's one that just hits me a little harder, one that's just tailor-made, a little bit more my speed, more my kind. I think the decision for reserve gets a little bit closer after that, but if you will, go ahead and put your hands together one more time for these breeding doe exhibitors, and I'll get your champion and reserve overall breeding doe.
Congratulations to Isabella Hytrek, our champion overall breeding doe, and Heather Lange with our reserve champion. Next in the ring, we will start our market portion of the Meat Goat Show. We'll be starting with lightweight class 1. First call, lightweight class 2. First call, lightweight class 2. Final call, lightweight class 2. Final call, lightweight class 2.
Getting into our market goat show. I have a nice pair of lightweights here, and be first to admit these guys, a pair of weathers that their best days are ahead of them. Goats that are obviously still green when you get your hands on them. But I think of them, what really sorts the pair in my mind is the young lady's wether here in front. One that when just so much more shapelier and dimensioner, still over his rack and his loin. It's fuller and squarer to his edges. A goat that reads genuinely rounder in terms of his center portion and forerib. Maybe one that just doesn't come quite with the same amount of extension and look and athleticism on the go as the lady in second. A goat that just in terms of his raw shape, power, and what he has to him, a goat that just makes sense to go ahead and lead off with. Young lady's goat in second, and I'll be first to admit a goat that I think actually favor this one in terms of his build and style from the side. Long, level, made kind of a weather that's certainly extended and good looking. Goat that just when you get your hands on, just not enough there today. One that's just a little bit too peaked over his rack and loin. Goat that just doesn't come with the same amount of shape and width as the one ahead of him, but a nice pair of lightweights to get our show kicked off with. Go ahead and put your hands together for these exhibitors.
Next in the ring, we'll have our lightweight class 2, and then we will have a champion lightweight drive. So our 2 from the last class will be joined by our champion reserve from this next class. If anyone in the audience needs a water, snack, or other pick-me-up, we have the 4-H food stand in the multi-purpose and Lincoln rooms. Proceeds from this food stand go to support our local 4-Hers in national contests, PACE, Life Challenge, and other various events throughout the year. So please stop by and support our local 4-Hers in the Lincoln room at the 4-H food stand.
And there are division banners.
young lady's parrot mouth wether is one that just suits me the best in this particular class. And I'll be first to admit, one that's probably not the roundest in terms of his forerib, probably not the most dimensional and impressive when you get your hands on him in this respective top pair, but one that I just think in terms for being a lighter weight goat that's just not quite at its end point, one that just in terms of that one's skeletal quality and eye appeal from the outside, just one that's just awfully hard not to buy into. Really a tall-fronted, short-bladed, good-looking whether that's really long and extended, level-made, goat that's awfully stylish from the outside. This one that just needs more days on feed to reach his optimal endpoint and show point, but really a nice high-quality whether to lead off with. I'm going to take away from the young man still, it's going to be right second, because I think one that when you get your hands on that one, it's actually impressive in terms of that one's just genuine dimension over a rack in terms of over a rack and her loin, a doe that's plenty opened up, has a lot of dimension, maybe one that just doesn't come with the same amount of eye appeal from the side. She's a deeper chested doe that's just a little bit off there and took right behind her shoulder, one that's just not nearly as level and square out of her hip as well, but still a doe that in terms of being opened up and having the right kind of market value and shape, I'm certainly impressed. Young lady's brown wether that's going to round out the class, one that's really long-bodied, extended, good-looking, and has a lot of stretch and extension from the side. For me, that goat just needs a lot more genuine substance to him. One that's just all too narrow underneath, a goat that just reads a bit flatter in terms of his forerib, and consequently, that one's a bit too narrow and nondescript over his top side. But really a nice trio in this second class of lightweights. Go ahead and put your hands together for these exhibitors.
We'll have our champion reserve from lightweight class 1 join our class 2 champion reserve for our lightweight championship drive. We'll go ahead and do a first call for our middleweight. There's only one class of this, so first call, middleweight meat goats.
There's only 2 classes in our lightweight division. I think 4 goats that's still on the right track. You know, they haven't reached their optimal endpoint in terms of market readiness and muscle and shape. But I mean, goats that are simply, from that standpoint. But I think 4 individuals out here that still read right and still are on the right path. With that being said, I think there's a pair of them that just need my hand with a more aggressive shape over their top side. Goats that I just think are higher quality in terms of their ring presence. Goat that just hits you with a better, more stylish look from the side. With that being said, the first and second out of the second class will go ahead and be your grand and reserve lightweight division. Go ahead and put your hands together for these lightweight division market goats.
Congratulations to Isabella Hightrack, our champion lightweight meat goat, and Kayla Isaacs, our reserve. Next in the ring will be our middleweight class. We will be bringing back the champions from lightweight, middleweight, and all together for our overall market champion goat. First call, heavyweight class 1. First call, heavyweight class 1. Second call, heavyweight class 1. Second call, heavyweight class 1.
There's only one class of middleweights out here, so this will also be your division. And top pair of goats out here, there's a lot of give and take. And honestly, spending a little bit more time talking on the mic and still kind of sorting through the differences and how I like them, because I think a pair that just a lot of give and take and a lot of contrast, and depending on where you lay your priorities is going to depend on how you sort them. But I think at the end of the day, I think the one that just suits me the best in this particular division, this particular pair, going to be the young man's doe here. He'll go ahead and be your champion middleweight. I think one that just in terms of this one's just being so wide-chested and round-bodied and meeting your hand with just so much more dimension and shape out of the backside of her shoulder. A doe that when she finally settles down and leads, still maintains herself on the go. Young man gets her propped up. That one's still level and balances up plenty fine from the side. The young lady's cape weather here, the thing I really like about her and what gives that doe a run for her money is this one's added look and extension and style. Or whether I think it's a shot more athletic when you get him out and circling. I really like his added height at the point of his blade, or whether that's really extended and good looking from the side. Just one that maybe when you get your hands on him, he's not nearly a square there behind his shoulder, a goat that just looks good. Or whether that when you study him, he wants to open up there at the top side of his blade. He's not nearly as smooth in the way he lays his shoulder onto his skeleton. It's a little bit weaker there behind it in terms of his top. Whether that, like I said, maybe just doesn't come with the same amount of punch and shape as the doe ahead of him. But I think a really nice one to be reserved in this respective division for that one's added look, style, and athleticism. Young ladies, whether it's going to come next. Really a long body, good looking, whether that you can appreciate from the side. Get your hands on that one, and it just starts to be a bit disappointing, especially over his loin edge. One that kind of wants to splay out and plane out there in terms of his edges. One that doesn't come with the same amount of intensity and shape when you get on the handle over the top side of that one. Or whether that I'd like to stouten up in terms of his overall feature as well. But really a good look and level made kind of whether to go ahead and be third. Young lady's spotted neck and spot back, whether it's going to go ahead and be fourth. One that I don't question in terms of his carcass utility, whether that has a lot of shape and turn to his center portion of in terms of his leg and lower leg and stifle there. For me, it's just the way that one's assembled, or whether he's all too ordinary and his shoulder shape deeper in terms of his chest. Gets off behind his blade, rounder out of his hip, and set that one into motion. That one needs to be the most correct in terms of his hind leg. Need to fix him in terms of his rear feet and pasterns as well. But a goat that's still opened up and has the right kind of carcass value. Young ladies, whether it's going to round out the class, a good looking, level made, stylish kind of a goat, just not enough to him. Goat that's just all too frail and closed up underneath. Flatter bodied goat that needs more genuine dimension and muscle mass to play any higher. Really a nice class, and only class of middleweight, so that will be your respective middleweight champion in reserve. Put your hands together for this division.
Congrats to Jetson, our champion middleweight, and Lauren, our reserve champion. Next in the ring will be our heavyweight class 1. We have first call heavyweight class 2. First call heavyweight class 2. As a reminder for each exhibitor showing animals at the Nebraska State Fair, entries are due August 10th at 8 p.m. All entries are completed by families online. Please ask your questions to 4-H staff if you need them. Second call, heavyweight class 2. Second call, heavyweight class 2.
I think this top initial trio have as much sort and debate as anything we've seen. The one that I think just has plenty in terms of his genuine muscle and carcass value in terms of being shapely and firm with a touch up high, but one that I think just comes with the added shot of athleticism and eye appeal, one that I think props up with the right kind of style and elevation and being level and good looking from the sides. This young lady's brown-headed weather right here that's going to go ahead and lead off with. I think one that of that initial trio is the taller shoulder, the weather that runs uphill and proportions right from the side, one that's really level made, get your hands on him. That one's every bit as square and firm over his rack and his loin edge. Maybe one that doesn't come with the same amount of dimension and pop from behind as what the two behind him do, but I think he's adequate in terms of the shape to his leg, adequate in terms of his genuine pin width and base width underneath, and I just like that one's added feature, added style, and added athleticism on the go to go ahead and lead off with. Young lady's black-eared weather that's going to go ahead and be next. I think one that's really awfully good when you get your hands on that guy. Really a wide-chested, round-bodied weather that's really impressive over his top sight. Is dimensional and grooved up in terms of his rack and loin edge as anything in class. One that just maybe doesn't come with the added extension. He's kind of a lower-shouldered, whether he gets a bit more rounder and open at the point of it, or whether that's not nearly as elevated and youthful up front. One that wants to be a little bit shorter hipped and shorter strided and doesn't quite get out with the same amount of athleticism off his rear two as the one ahead of him, but one that still bounces up, still really jam-packed full of muscle and carcass value, one that's really nice to go ahead and be second in this particular class. Young ladies, whether it's going to go ahead and be third. I think one that really a high quality, whether that's left third in class, because I think that one's as wide-chested and round-bodied, dimensional over his top side as any. For me, it's just the way that guy's assembled. He gets a little too bold and open in terms of his shoulder, wants to get off behind it there and break behind his blade, or whether that just wants to get a little bit easier in terms of his top line, one that's not nearly as level and long out of his hip as well, but one that's jam-packed full of muscle. He's opened up, he's stout, really like the added feature and power found in that guy. Really a round-bodied, kind of a good kind of market weather, really a high-quality goat that goes ahead and sits third in a really tough trio. Young man's light, whether it's, or blue-eared, whether it's going to go ahead and be next. I think one that's lean and shapely over his top side, long body, kind of a goat. For me, though, just doesn't come with the same amount of base width and stoutness as the three ahead of him. Need to stouten that one up in terms of his pin set. Need to give him a shot of genuine over. Needs to give that one a shot more genuine base width, make him rounder body, give him more dimension over his top side, but still a weather that everything fits from the side in terms of his lines. Young ladies, whether it's going to round out the class, I'll be first to admit this one's presented a bit full for me, really distracts, takes away from his look, but I still think one that everything pieces together. That one balances, he's good built, good made, still reads plenty adequate in terms of his feature at the ground, still has plenty of base width in terms of his, when you read his chest fork. For me, that one's all too nondescript when you get over his top side, whether it's the most disappointing behind his shoulder, just needs more genuine shape to match up with the rest of him and move any higher. But really a nice set of heavyweights. Go and put your hands together for these exhibitors.
Entering the ring now is our heavyweight class 2. Following this, we will have our heavyweight championship drive.
Last class of heavyweights and a single entry in this. The young man's got a heavyweight doe that one that I think I'll be first to admit one that maybe want to reel back in terms of this one's finish. I think she's got a bit extra on her when you get over her forerib. But I think one that still bounces up plenty fine from the side. She's genuinely opened up. She's got the right kind of dimension and mass over her top side. One that still bounces and everything fits and makes sense from the side. Just like I said, maybe one that we just need to watch and reel her back in terms of her finish. But really a nice single entry for the young man in our last class of heavyweights. Put your hands together for this exhibitor.
Following our champion heavyweight drive, we will invite back our champion reserve lightweight and middleweights for our overall market champion. Just a reminder, if you receive a red stall sign today, feel free to proudly display that by your animals, but we ask that those are returned to the livestock office by 7 p.m. on Sunday. So if you have earned a red stall sign today, congratulations, but please return those by 7 p.m. on Sunday.
As we study these three respective class winners and second out here in our heavyweight division, I think goats that are all high quality have the right kind of substance and mass and muscle shape. And I think there's a pair of them that just do it to a higher degree in terms of quality, look, and in terms of style from the side. I'm going to keep the pair from the first class in our heavyweight division together. They'll be your grand and reserve heavyweight. Go ahead and put your hands together for these exhibitors.
Congrats to Clara Johnson, our champion heavyweight meat goat, and Heather Laney, our reserve champion. They will be joined by our lightweight and middleweight champion reserves here momentarily. Let's do a first call, born and raised. First call, born and raised.
I think a really good market goat show out here, top to bottom. I think top end quality in terms of our class winners and our division champions and reserves out here represented very well in terms of having some goats that just really high quality and presented well. I commend these exhibitors and their families and everyone that helped them for a job well done getting these goats to this point. You exhibitors, make sure you go home and thank everyone that got you here today. It's a hot, brutal day here in eastern Nebraska, and everyone's feeling the heat. And it took everyone to get you here to this point and getting your animals ready. Make sure you thank them, and you know a thank you goes a long ways because you'll need them down the line. You'll need your parents, your friends, everyone who helped get these goats ready. But go ahead and give them a big thank you to helping you get to this point. I think there's 6 goats out here that are all high quality. With that being said, I think there's a couple of them that I think just are just a little bit above the rest, just in terms of their added look and extension and style. Goats that have the right kind of turn of their center portion, goats that are still level made, good looking and athletic. But if you will, once again, in their market goat show today, put your hands together in a big round of applause for these exhibitors. I'll go ahead and get you champion and reserve.
Congratulations to Heather Lange, our champion overall market meat goat. And our reserve champion is Clara Johnson. Our final class of the day for our meat goat show for the 2021 fair is our born and raised. Just a reminder for animal release, we will not have animals released any earlier than 7 p.m. on Sunday, August 1st. So please, unless there is a dire emergency, animals are to be remaining at the fair until Sunday, August 1st at 7 p.m. As we're wrapping up the meat goat show for our fair today, we also want to say a big thank you to our 4-H exhibitors for exhibiting great sportsmanship and being supportive of their peers and being thankful for all the others that have helped them get here today. Again, we also want to say thank you to our t-shirt sponsors, Midwest Bank and Tractor Supply. 4-Hers, please sign the thank you cards outside of the livestock office at some point before the end of the fair. One last reminder that our chicken dinner is tomorrow night from 5:30 to 7:30 at the exhibit hall near Pavilion 3. To-go containers will be available, and advance tickets are $8 and $9 at the door.
Again, to our born and raised class, and I want to commend all these exhibitors on a job well done. I know it's not easy kidding these things out and feeding them and going through the process and getting them here to fair and exhibiting them. And I think there's high quality. I think 3, 4, 5 these individuals out here are really high quality in terms of when you study these goats for what they are. I just want to, my hat's off to these exhibitors on a job well done of getting them here. And it really didn't take much not a whole lot of difference. You know, we have our grand and reserve, a couple division winners and reserves from our respective show and our bred and owned show, and I'm just going to leave them as they are. I'm not going to change anything up. I stick behind my word and my decision. But like I said, let's go ahead and give these exhibitors a big round of applause. I'm not going to talk these goats any. I've already broken them down plenty. Nice market goat show.
A big congratulations to Heather Lange, our champion, born and raised, and Clara Johnson, our reserve champion. That concludes our 2021 Lancaster County Super Fair Meat Goat Show. Another big round of applause and thank you to Ty Rankin for judging our show today. We will take a 15-minute intermission before our sheep show starts. So 15 minutes and then we will switch over to lambs.
Thank you for watching the 4-H FFA Meat Goat Show at the Lancaster County Super Fair. This is marking the 150th anniversary of the Lancaster County Fair. 15 minutes will start the sheep live stream.